Hello honeybees, hello my book besties, welcome back to my channel and welcome to today's video. We are going to be talking about the books I read in quarter 3 finally. Okay, my bad, this is a little late, but yes, we're going to be talking about July, August, and September. Most of these books were pretty good, I'm gonna say, but I don't have the stats for each and every single month this time. We're just going to keep it simple. We're just going to talk about the rating, the book, and whatnot. Let's just go ahead and get started because I already know I like to yap. So we're going to start with July. In July, I feel like I started off really strong. I had some books that I really loved and enjoyed, starting off with The Housemaid by Freida McFadden. Now this is my first book by her, and let me tell you something, it was good. It was really good. Guys, it had so many twists and turns. I feel like my brain was all over the place when I was reading this. Honestly, I was confused half of the time because I was just like, wow, this is really crazy. Not confused in a bad way for sure. I was confused in a good way because I was like, wow. Honestly, the plot twists were very clever. I couldn't have imagined half of the things that she put in there at some points. I was just like, wow. Everything just kept dropping on me left and right, and I was like, give me a second, guys. Like, do we really know who the villain is until you know who the villain is? You know, it was a lot. Like, you couldn't like figure out who was the problem until the end. Like, you really couldn't figure it out. I was like detective at this point because I was trying to figure out who's really the problem, what's really going on, where the small details that I'm missing, like what's happening in here. And honestly, the house was just really crazy. I really feel like I went from loving Nina to hating Andrew to loving Andrew to, I don't know, to finding out really crazy things about him, whatnot. And just like, as far as Millie, I was captivated by her story and just like her perseverance throughout this whole thing. Because girl, I would have quit if they was putting me through all this BS. Like, I honestly was so shocked by the end. And the more you find out about Millie, you're gonna be even more shocked too. Because I was like, what? This is not real, guys. It's like, I did not know. I didn't know what I was waiting for. I didn't know what was going to happen. I didn't know who was going to be the villain. I didn't know. Like, it kept being very twisty, and I love books like that make me just think. I enjoyed it. 5-star all the way. And then I went on and moved on to something a little bit more fluffier, I guess you can say. I moved into a rom-com by Lucy Score. We have Story of My Life. I feel like this was such an enjoyable read. I gave this a 4-star. It definitely was a good one, and it was actually pretty quick paced. This is the fastest I've ever gotten through a Lucy Score book in my life. Like, guys, what? Because I didn't know I was moving that fast through the book until I knew I was moving that fast through the book, and then it was just over, and I was like, but that's how good it was. Like, honestly, I enjoyed every part of the story. It was like so funny in certain parts. I just love the small town aspects. I feel like this was really interesting. It was different, and I'm honestly loving this new series, and I cannot wait for the second book because this was just very much humor, banter, which I really loved in this story. I also love the little small town. It was very cutesy. I love the brothers, every single one of them. We love the Bishop brothers, okay? Let me just tell y'all that. And Cam, being who he is, very Brody but also very gentleman-like. Love that. Honestly, he was the perfect brother for Hazel. Like, Hazel was just like very chaotic, low-key, and also she's a writer, so I feel like this was a very interesting dynamic. And he was interior decorator or designer, architect. I'm trying to find the word. Anyways, like, yeah, they were doing like in-home like reconstruction and stuff like that with the brothers, and I just thought that was a really interesting concept. And honestly, they fit each other so well. Like, it was just so funny watching them interact with each other throughout the whole book. Like, the little moments that they had were just hilarious, and I could not stop laughing. Like, there were just so many laugh out loud moments, which I really loved about this book. Also, I really do love the town. Like, most of the people in the town were really hilarious. Like, the little small old people who were just always naggy and picky about everything. So I just love all of the dynamics. I also love Zoe. She just gave off all the best friend vibes that she needed to give. She kind of reminded me of like Suki a lot when I was reading this book, because she's just that one best friend that just wants to stick by your side and she wants to support you through everything. And I just felt like she was just so sweet. She also kept Hazel in check a lot of the times. I just feel like Suki did that a lot for Lorelai, and so she just reminded me of her a lot when I was reading this book, so I really enjoyed that part. Honestly, there truly was a lot of Gilmore Girl vibes in here, and I honestly love that because why not? The third one I read in July was Welcome to the Hyunam-dong Bookshop by Hyunam-dong. I feel like this one was such a good read. It was such a slice of life, which I really enjoyed, and it just felt like a really big hug to those like living a mundane life, honestly just trying to figure it out. And I truly love that part of the story. I love how every character had their own dynamic, their own little storyline, and we got a little bit of everybody's story, and it all came together to be this beautiful, I don't even know, like drama, I guess. It just felt like a K-drama I was watching. It was giving slice of life, but like it wasn't a romance aspect being like the main heavy part of anything. Like romance didn't even start kicking in until like the very end, so I would call this a full general fiction. And honestly, it was just so enjoyable to read. Honestly, we got to learn about like the ins and outs of a bookshop management and just how like broken relationships can happen within these stories, and finding a sense of purpose, and all those things were in this book, and I feel like that was really enjoyable. Honestly, it just felt like there were so many moments in this book where I wasn't just reading this book, but I was watching somebody's life happen. And I love books like that give me that imaginary detail that I can just feel like I'm there and watching something and not just like full on reading the book. There were moments where I just could not put it down. It was a beautiful story, and it felt like a love story to people living life. And next up on the list, we got One of Us is Next by Karen and McManus. Now this was a part of the series for One of Us is Lying, second book, and I also started this series way back earlier this year. This one I rated a 4-star. I don't think this was like the best one out of the series, but it also wasn't the worst one. I think the third one was worse, which you'll get a little bit later. Anyways, this one had a lot of wow factor to me because it was a very interesting plot twist from just seeing them go through this little bit of the story, and then like the second book kind of had a continuation of the people from the first book, and I thought that was really interesting. Honestly, I was not expecting the ending of that book. Like I just did not believe it. It was crazy to me. Like how could you have thought this through? I think the worst part about this book was just truly the beginning, because it was kind of slow. We were kind of getting a re-explanation of like who they were, stuff like that, I feel like. But the pacing kind of sped up during the middle of the book, so it did go through pretty quickly after that. I like how this book focused in more on the relationships and the friendships and the family of the people from the first book, and a little bit more people from the school in general. Like I like how those dynamics came back in. We actually just zoned in on them as they were trying to figure out their lives after all of this stuff had happened, and you know, just kind of living their mundane lives. But also there was this aspect where like it came back to haunt them, I guess, in a way, and it was really interesting. It was really crazy. Honestly, I could not believe it. It was wild to me. I was like, oh, so this is just gonna end like that, question mark, and then leaves you questioning until the next book, which was a good thing. I feel like it was better for it to leave off on a cliffhanger than it was for it to just end. Then I finally started a series that I've been wanting to start, and I'm so glad I did. We have When in Rome by Sarah Adams. I rated this a 4.75. I really enjoyed this book. It was so exciting throughout the whole story, and there was just nothing in here that was bad. Like I devoured this book in a day. That's all you have to know. I devoured it in one day, okay? I love how it was quick paced, but it also had those realistic elements in there, which were what they needed to be. Because it's about Noah, who is just like this baker, and then we have Amelia, who's this pop star singer. She's kind of running away from her life as a singer because she doesn't want to do it anymore. She kind of wants a little break, and I just find it really interesting that this dynamic for them, I don't know, it just felt like they were each other's person, and I love that for them. Again, this is a small town romance, so honestly I'm just biased at this point because I really love small town romances, and they're kind of my favorite thing, and the chemistry for them, off the pages, off the charts. I love that for them. Everything about it was beautiful, and I love how everything just kind of went from, you know, them kind of being friends, and then them having this mutual attraction for each other, then them, you know, getting to know each other more. I just feel like that was very romantic. Honestly, there was one point in the book where Noah was just giving off Luke from Gilmore Girls. I know I keep comparing everything to Gilmore Girls because in my head I'm living in the Gilmore Girls century. In my head, that's what's happening. It was that good, and there was just like one line. There was one line where he sounded just like Luke. If you know, you know. But yeah. Honestly, I was so not expecting Amelia's manager to be one of those people I just did not like. Like, there's some aspects in there that I was like, girl, are you really her manager? Like, are we for real? Anyways, it was crazy, and I was like, oh. Honestly, I just feel like as a whole this book was put together well, and it was a beautiful story. Then of course I had to go on and read the second one just after I finished that one because I couldn't help it, okay? It was too good, and this one was my favorite one out of the whole series. I'm just gonna say that right now, okay? So basically this is the younger sister and the bodyguard of Amelia. We love this. I gave this one a 5-star. That's how you know it was my favorite out of the series, because out of the 3 books, guys, this one ate all the way down. I love this one because it was giving like practicing like with her and like certain things of areas of dating, and I just feel like I didn't expect myself to like it that much. I was like, guys, I'm crazy. Like, y'all, I devoured this one too, and this one was just too good. The dynamic between them was just like, I don't even know, the little sneaking around town kind of thing, small town vibes, like everybody's gonna know. Annie's kind of like Rory. She's like this town sweetheart, everybody wants to protect her, and it was just so funny. Like there was different dynamics happening between this one lady and Will. Like it was so funny. Like I forgot her name, but like she was like the owner of the hotel in which the bodyguard was staying at, but it was so hilarious just watching that happen. So funny, if you ask me. I don't know, it was so funny. And just getting to learn more about Annie and just who she is, because in the first book you got a little bit of her, but I like this story because it gave off those vibes of like, I'm hidden in my kind of shell because everybody thinks I'm supposed to be this way, but she was able to break out of that a little bit with Will, and I just feel like that was so beautiful. Also, you get to learn a little bit more about Will, of course. So I just feel like their dynamic and their storyline was just so beautiful and well thought out, and I just was like eating it all the way up. Alrighty, so let's move on into August. I read 3 books during August, which is not bad, honestly, because I was just getting home, getting back into school, so 3 books was honestly enough for me. First, we're gonna go ahead and start off with the last book in the series so far anyways. Got Beg, Borrow, or Steal by Sarah Adams. This one was not my favorite in the series, unfortunately. I was looking for more, and it just didn't give me all that I wanted, especially with the first 2 being absolute bangers. So I was kind of disappointed, but I gave this one a 4-star, which is still not bad, because honestly, as a total, this book is like a 4.75 in my heart. So I think this was really good. I really did relate to Emily the most in this story because she was the older sister, and y'all already know with me in books with the older sisters, I connect immediately with the characters, and I love that for myself. I love books that give that dynamic of like the older sibling having to take care of everybody, have to hold their emotions in because they feel like they have to be the glue to everything. They have to piece everything together. They're not allowed to feel their emotions. They're not allowed to do anything for themselves, but you always have to maintain that appearance of being okay and being put together. And I honestly felt that so much from Emily because she was the glue that was holding the family together for real. And honestly, that was really sad. I was just like, oh girl, you hit my heart. I'm sad for you. We sat together at this point. Yeah. And I feel like for Jack, that was a really interesting dynamic because he moves in right next to Emily, like the other house, and they have this dynamic of rivalry, which is so funny. So they've been rivals since high school, I believe, and then even in college they become rivals, and they even compete as teachers as well. So they're like completing each other their whole darn lives at this point, and they actually have very general attraction for each other, and I think that was really interesting. I love that this story was them understanding each other a lot, but also having this big rivalry in between that, which was really funny. I just feel like that dynamic was different. They were rivals, but they weren't really rivals. They were enemies, but they weren't really enemies either. So I just feel like that was a really interesting dynamic that I haven't seen before in books, so I really enjoyed that. Honestly, this book just gave me so much hope for my future in my life. I don't know, something about like Emily and Jack just being able to pursue things that they weren't able to pursue before because they felt like they had to be in this box just felt so hopeful for my life. I don't know, something about it just gave me hope, and I just think it was cute, and so I definitely did give this one a 4-star. However, it just wasn't my favorite. Then I went on to read a novella. Again, I had to go ahead and pick up another Freida McFadden book, so I read Death Row by her. This one was a short novella. It was very interesting. This is literally just a quick story about this one woman, and she's kind of spiraling. She's about to go on death row because she killed her husband. Honestly, the things in this book made me think I was crazy, but the ending really was like, oh my god. Imagine that happening to you. Like, yeah, that's literally all I'm gonna say because it's that short, and if I ruin it, I don't want to ruin it, you know what I'm saying? So 5-star, definitely a 5-star, because I was literally reading this at work. Honestly, I was at the cash register and I was just like, I'm gonna just read this book because why not? And it was really crazy. I couldn't believe it, and I was telling my coworker, I was like, girl, what the heck? And she was like, what happened? I was like, girl, oh my god. And then when I got back to work the next day, I told her what happened. She was like, oh my god, that's crazy. And I was like, me too, girl, me too. Anyways, definitely a 5-star read. It's a quick novella, so I recommend. And last but not least, in August, I read August and Everything After by Jennifer Salvato Distorski. I gave this a 3.5. It was a decent read. It wasn't a perfect read, but it was good enough, honestly. It was a YA, and it was like less than 400 pages. It wasn't that bad, but it wasn't perfect either. I'm gonna just look at this review because low-key I forgot about this book. That's how you know it was like 3-star worthy, because I don't really remember anything. Anyways, I said that it was a decent book and it was touching at many moments, but it did feel like it was on repeat a few times. I enjoyed the connection between Quinn and her aunt, and it felt like they had a deeper connection than she had with her mom. Like, she didn't have that same thing going on with her. I also loved the instant chemistry between Malcolm and Quinn. It just felt like they had that general attraction for each other right off the bat, which was really nice. But I love how it wasn't like lusty, but it was like, you know, a cute little story, I think, for Quinn, because she was going through a lot, and Malcolm, you get to learn about his backstory and who he is, and they end up performing together. And I just feel like this was a dynamic story, but it was a good one. It was quick paced. It kind of got wrapped up the right way. I feel like there were things that needed to happen for Quinn and things that needed to happen for Malcolm that didn't need to happen for both of them, which I love the ending of. I like how it didn't just go off into them, you know, doing every single thing together, which I really enjoyed, because that can happen with young love, but that did not happen for them, which I really enjoyed. But altogether, this story was just a quick one. It was good, and it still had what it needed to have, I feel like, to be a good story. And last but not least, let's talk about September. I read 2 books. One of them was great, the other one just was mid, and I am really disappointed in that. So let's get into it. First, we got Cleopatra and Frankenstein by Coco Mellors. I gave this book a 3-star. I don't think this book was that great, and not because of the story itself. I feel like the characters annoyed me in some way. They felt very pretentious. They felt like they didn't have any dynamic between them. Every single person in this book kind of felt like, I don't even know how to explain it, like they were kind of didn't care about anybody else. They were kind of all conceited about themselves. They didn't really have a care for the world or things in it, I guess I can say. But I did enjoy the romance when it first started out. I just think as dynamics started getting trickier and friends started happening, it was really weird. And then I also didn't enjoy the fact that Frank just didn't care sometimes about what Cleo had to say at some points. I just feel like the story kind of got lost in itself. And also, one of the characters in here just has a random POV. Like, it just pops up out of nowhere and you're like, what? Hold on, who am I listening to right now? I just felt like this wasn't as good of a book as I thought it was going to be from all of the things that I've heard from this. So I'm very disappointed. So I gave it a 3-star. I'm gonna say it is a good story in general. This is a good gen fic. This is a good romance fic. I just feel like it wasn't as good as I thought it was going to be, and I came in here with high expectations that got failed. Just having this running mind that I have to do a bunch of things, be this people pleaser, have to say yes to everything, have to go to everything, have to be at everything. I just feel like that's usually my life, and this book kind of taught me that, like, I need to slow down, and there are times where you can say no. There are times you can take time to yourself. You don't have to be everything to everyone at the same time all the time. There is no way you can possibly do that with being one human. God did not create us to be everything to everyone all at one time. That is literally who he's supposed to be. I feel like this book taught me that in that way that, like, I never thought of before. It also used a lot of scripture, of course, and I just feel like it's a very short book. You can read it every day. You can read it as a devotional. It can be read as just you reading. Like, it definitely convicted me in places where I didn't think I was going to be convicted, and I believe that, like, God really sent me this book and was like, girl, read it. And I was like, okay. And so I feel like this definitely had that aspect that I needed in me and just didn't have before, and my brain just never thought about it. So, like, I'm glad this book was here to teach me that, like, there are things that you can slow down from, that you literally have a life and you're allowed to, like, slow down and don't do everything all at once. I don't know, I guess I just never really had that thought of just stopping and saying no. But this book really helped me realize that slowing down is important and you don't have to be crazy busy all the time. So in total, honestly, this is about the same as quarter 2, but I read 11 books, so one less book I read in quarter 3. So I honestly feel like all of these books were great. I'm so glad I got to read every single one of them. I love experiencing new reads. I love experiencing new genres. I feel like I always find something different in every single book. I'm glad that I read books that are still hyped and I find my own opinion, but I cannot wait to see what quarter 4 has in store. We have a lot of books in store for quarter 4. I just feel like are just going to be different, and I'm just excited to read every single one of them. So if you made it all the way to the end of today's video, comment down below the eyebrow raise emoji, because that was like how I was feeling most of quarter 3. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you can get notified every time I post a new bookish video. And of course, please don't forget to be true and be you and read whatever you want to. I love you guys so much, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye. Mwah.